Oftentimes in life, we go through circumstances that really test our character. You could be going through a breakup, you could be going through financial problems, you could be having some health issues, or you could just be in a state of depression right now. And these trials are made to, really test your resolve, to test your character. And they are tests to see if you are going to persevere. Oftentimes in life, people allow their circumstances to beat them down to the point where they feel hopeless. They feel like they have nothing to look forward to. They're caught in a maelstrom of despair, and they adopt this really nihilistic, dark way of thinking. And we are called to be better than that. We are called to be more than conquerors, and we are called to persevere through the darkness. A lot of people are in the shadow of death, and they have chosen to make that their home. We are not to make the shadow of death our home. We are meant to traverse the valley and to come out victorious on the other side. We're meant to be refined in the fire, and we are meant to, tell a story that's going to be inspirational and help those people that are going through rough times in life. We are meant to take this time period in our life and use it as an opportunity to tell a story, to tell a testimony, to create something beautiful, whether that be art, whether that be music, whether that be videos. And when you learn to shift your perspective, instead of looking at your circumstances as a negative and you look at it as an opportunity to do something positive, that's when things will start to change for you. Because oftentimes your mindset can be worse than the circumstances that you're in. It may not necessarily be what's happening to you, but it's really how you're perceiving what's happening to you. Oftentimes people develop this negative defeatist mentality of, they feel like the world is against them and they feel like life is just unfair. And when you go down that rabbit hole, that's when things start to get dark, because when you start thinking of yourself as a victim, you can't see solutions to your situation. And when you're in that victim mentality, you can't really see a way out. The only thing that you can do is just meditate on the suffering and feel smaller, feel helpless, feel weak. And you do not want to be weak. You do not want to entertain weakness. You don't want to entertain victimhood. You don't want to entertain any of that. Realize this: you are greater than that. You have a responsibility to be a light, to be the salt of the earth, to show the people around you that whatever it is you're going through, you can overcome, and they can overcome it too. But you have to lead by example, and you can't lead by example by having this victim mentality. Get rid of the victim mentality and learn to embrace the suffering, embrace the suck. And that isn't to be like, be a masochist or anything like that, but that is to look at the situation as something to be overcome. And once you shift your mindset and you shift your habits, you're going to start seeing solutions. You're going to start, taking better care of yourself. You're going to start making the most of your days, and you're going to start, using the pain as, as ammunition, as fuel for your creativity. And once you start doing that, that's when you start to build your way out of the darkness. And that's when you start to, sort of shine that light, and eventually you'll get out of the mire. So shift your perspective and don't let this life get you down. You're going to conquer, you're going to persevere, you're going to overcome. Hope you guys like this video. I'm out.